Sure, why not?
Yeah,
Totally live.
We can do that probably.
maybe.
Hey, that was a weird noise I made.
Is that your intro?
That was gonna
That-
be my
that was-
intro.
It's
That
the
was the intro.
Nosferatu.
That's the Nosferatu. Greetings, this is
Mm.
Discussing Tabletop.
Was it cute or was it terrifying?
It was both.
I got
Once-
hold on. Yeah.
179.
Roll a
April
D20.
3rd. Yep, April 3rd. Hey, Blaze. Docket should be working. Boom. There's our docket for today. We're gonna go.
No.
Mm-hmm. Let's start.
Dockets.
Let's start with the obvious thing. Paizo's April Fool's monsters, because they're wonderful. This is look. I gotta be honest. Paizo does this, and they do more work on this than they ever should. It's like, aren't you
That's
supposed to be
the-
like working on other stuff?
That's like the best kind of joke, though. It's a joke you could actually use
Mhm.
in something.
Yeah, as opposed to just like a meme.
Yeah. They created a bunch of monsters to use in your Pathfinder 2nd Edition game, which are just kind of hilarious.
Just the best.
I think last year was when they first started doing this one. Because I remember I clicked on their old one. They might have been older one, I don't know, but like they had some interesting ones last year too. But this
We
year,
don't have names today.
Yeah, I'm nameless, I guess. That's fine.
Did I have them? Whatever. I don't see
No,
names in here, so it's like I'm like, should there be names?
There's no names today.
Anyway,
we are all
Yeah, joining me today are
unknowns.
Lightning and Momo.
Yeah, hello.
Because I should say that. Look, you know, I have had a really weird morning this morning. I'm just gonna say that. I woke up really early, having fallen asleep downstairs, and then felt awful. Took medicine, fell asleep again, felt awful again. Took some more medicine, drinking tea, and finally feel human at this point in the day.
Oh yes, a human.
Yeah, normal human.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the Friday game, everyone's
Oh.
totally normal.
Oh god.
That'll be a thing to talk about. But
Indeed.
the creatures that are introduced are first the Nosferatu, otter. Oops, we did it again. April Fool's monsters, which is a undead like vampire otter with squeak of doom.
Yeah.
It's
Um.
it's silly. It's interesting. It's medium. That's a big otter. I just realized
It's
that.
a
Yeah,
really
it-
big otter, and if you
it's-
look into its beady little eyes, you're stunned for one round.
Look into its beady little eyes. You are now stunned for one round unless you can see it on a DC 20 will save.
It's got
Dead gaze. It takes 2 actions. We should specify this is 2nd edition Pathfinder.
Yeah.
It's got an aquatic ambush for one action. I guess that's a standard ability because they don't mention it here. Something else has got to have it. So it's like,
Oh, it's like the fish people in the Cave of Horrible. In
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
They're
this
just hanging out in the water because they can breathe underwater.
yeah.
so most of these are Pathfinder 2nd Edition. They do have one Starfinder, which is Pirate Chives. I'm sorry, Alien Archive.
Yeah. Some believe the alien archives are distant relevance to Gorians. I don't know how to pronounce any of their things. And Raxaldites.
I gotta look
But
these up.
archives
I-
remain closed-mouthed about their origin, or species origin. After all, knowledge of other species and creatures is their stock and trade, and they will use the wealth of information to aid in their constant piracy.
So the Gorians are like a plant race that I guess you can play in Starfinder, it looks like. Oh, you might be able to play them in Pathfinder, too. I don't know. Well, they're on the
Oh,
Pathfinder.
hell yeah. We're gonna be pirate alien
Yeah.
fish. Not fish, plants.
Yeah.
Oh my
Watch me
god.
photosynthesize.
And the Raxalites are just like little adorable creatures that are plant-based, too.
Oh, so you're an adorable pirate plant?
They're like little, like... Their head's like the bulb of a flower, and they've got like the flower popping out of their brain. So their head's got flower.
Oh, neat.
hmm
Oh yeah.
And it's in space, so that's kind of it's got like technology. It's weird.
This one's got a
Mhm.
gun the size of its body.
That sounds about right.
Yup.
They introduced the middle, which is a creature level 21 that's a giant house cat.
Yeah, it has a perception of plus 38.
Yep. It will see you, and it will topple you over.
It also has 400 hit points, which, considering the thing that's happening today, later, doesn't seem like a lot. But
Yeah.
then again, you know, it's huge. It's not just huge, it's gargantuan.
Yeah, it's a kaiju cat.
It's
Yeah, it's a
cat.
kaiju.
It's a kaiju house cat. You know, that's.
This middle steps across the game table. I mean, with the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her ferocious pet will eat nearly anything nearby. Many survivors have reported them just batting around like toys, sending humanoids flying in various directions before appearing to grow bored and unceremoniously departing.
Many adventurers swear the monstrous felines simply enjoy wreaking havoc upon the battlefield rather than being primarily emoted by food, though some reports describe the snittle snatching provisions to eat after growing bored of knocking about its victims. It can also sneak attack you for 2d6 extra damage.
I mean, it's not a lot, but it's there.
Considering that its claws do 46 plus 17.
Yes.
And its jaw does 40, 10 plus 24. And it also grabs you when you get bitten, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
It also has a speed of 50 feet.
Yeah.
Then, of course...
So you can never get away.
There's the dessert drake. We should have not talked about this before the stream because we got all the good comments out of the way.
Yeah, feel
Unfortunate.
free to read the flavor text because I didn't read any of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of flavor text in all of these. The dessert drake has things like immunity to Paul Hollywood's opinions, which I didn't know he was the guy who judges the Great British Bake Off.
I've watched a lot of Great British Bake Off in my life.
Well, he's immune to that this drake is. He's weak to fire, and he can swallow baked goods whole and has icing breath or sugar, I guess, cloud of sugar he can emit. It's silly.
The organization part is the best because it's either solitary, a bakery, so that'd be 2 to 5, a kitchen, which is 7 to 12, or a baker's dozen, which is 13.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got all the good laughs out because I was reading a lot of these things.
Yeah.
Everyone died, and I was just like, "Yep, this is a thing."
Non sequitur.
We haven't read all of them though. The non sequitur is amazing.
I love it.
Yeah,
The more centaurs, it's so good.
Its ability is just it has the ability more centaurs where it summons another one of itself, and I love the way they describe this. Is before you ask, yes, this is a summon. Non sequitur can use more centaurs as well. No, this is not a design oversight. I write the blog. Them's the breaks. Just like
also, if you kill it, when it's reduced to 0 hit points, it doesn't die. It uses more centaurs as a reaction, and then it dies.
Or if it leaves your field of view, it feels ignored and uses more centaurs as a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have an attack, cast a spell on it, used a skill, or otherwise acknowledged existence, it dominates all the interaction and uses more centaurs. In fact,
As a reaction.
it just keeps using it, and it just appears out of nowhere too.
Yes. Well, I'll read the flavor text once again because it's great. So here we go. Many a game master may need to spice things up and interject a moment of tension in the middle of a confusing battle or long social engagement and think, hey, a quick combat here would do the trick. A centaur is a classic creature, but how would I justify a centaur in the middle of this fancy dinner party in, I don't know, the Darklands or whatever? When no monster quite fits the situation, there's always the non sequitur. A curious creature that is exactly like a centaur, except that it appears when you least expect it.
It's just there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fae, is what it is. I mean, it says beast. This is a fae. It can just appear wherever it wants. It's a fae.
It is also a really good pun.
It's great. It's really amazing.
It's hilarious.
One of its reactions, centaur out of nowhere. The PCs round the corner, open a chest or door, unmask a villain, or draw back a particularly plush curtain. Requirements, the PCs are not thinking about centaurs. Effect, a non sequitur appears whenever it is least expected. A non sequitur comes into being and everyone rolls initiative.
It's just like you're not thinking about centaurs. All centaurs is not.
It's great. It's real great.
It's really good.
There's also the floof, which is
Not to be confused with floof.
it's true. It's
Different creatures.
They've got the favorite has to be the cute aggression, where any creature, either a mammal or has an intelligence of 3 or higher, sees a pup of one of these creatures must succeed on DC 27 will save.
Sees or touches.
Yeah.
Must defend it with its life. When you're no longer able to perceive it, that effect ends, and if a creature can speak anytime it remembers the floof pup, it feels the compulsion, DC 15, to tell their story of the encounter and inevitably end with the phrase, "I would die for that floof."
I only knew Floof for 2 hours, but if anything happens to it, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
And one of the best comments of someone that is under all the stuff is, Bestiary 3 is looking great.
That's really great. This entire thing is just like, I'm sorry.
This is the kind of April Fool's jokes I appreciate.
This is really good. Paizo did a really good job. Like, out of everything April Foolsy, I think this is the best one that's like this here. It's very good. As much as I love to deal with everything, we probably want to move on to some other stuff. Why don't we, just in case a slumber may awaken, he might want to talk about it. Let's switch Tales of the City till later. Just saying.
Fancy.
Fallout RPG is on the horizon. Modifius, who's been talking about it, since they did their hybrid RPG / miniatures game, they said they were going to do a full Fallout RPG, you know. Which the hybrid one, me and Joe looked at probably over a year now ago, and it wasn't bad. It was interesting. It basically took their miniatures-based game and added RPG elements to it, so you could play. I'd say it's kind of closer to like 4th edition was, where you need to have a board set up for it. While this goes to a lot more traditional, their 2D20 system they have for things like Star Trek and stuff, and it just makes it Fallout.
I mean, I like Fallout, but I'm not gonna lie. You could easily convert it to be playable in either Pathfinder or like 5th edition. But I am curious to see what they're gonna do.
I am like a mega fan of Fallout. Played every single Fallout game. I love the idea of this a lot.
Yeah.
But it's gonna depend on the execution because this company does some weird things.
I mean, like they do a lot of weird things. I can't deny that. Modifius, like their list of unusual RPG properties is very long. Like they did a great job with Star Trek, I gotta say. It's a very interesting system. I know that they base a lot of their stuff on that entire 2D20 system, where I think their system seemed to have like that. You rolled two 20-sided dice, try to get a target number. Extra successes go to some kind of momentum-based thing, and your GM has like a threat-based thing. I think they
need to work on the formatting of their website. I have to have it like maximum screen to have it not have everything bunched up together.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Their website is not great all the time.
I mean, I have it between 2 different screens right now.
Oh,
Because...
this is. Please hire someone. Please.
It worked okay in Firefox for me when it loaded up.
Well, let me hit screen maximum. Okay, so if you're on a 1080 monitor, it's fine. But you have to have full screen, otherwise it derps pretty hard.
Oh yeah, I forgot they were also doing like a Dishonored RPG.
They are doing a Dishonored RPG.
And a Dune one.
Yep, the Dune one.
Oh yeah, Dune, yeah.
Yep. Dishonored, John Carter of Mars, Conan they've done.
Kung Fu Panda.
Oh no. That sounds like an April 1st thing.
That was on their board games, which they have like 5 of.
I want to say Josh has played the Conan one, but there's probably multiple Conans to be fair. So I don't know if you played the one.
The Modifius one, which is the kind of latest. I think the thing about the Modifius one, which I'm not sure that the other companies do, is I think Modifius went directly through whatever the hell the author's work is, rather than like maybe like the movie versions of stuff, or the the more extended universe.
I don't know.
I don't know. It feels as though that what Modifius only does book-related stuff, at least for their Conan games. But the Fallout one, they have a 400-page rulebook that's coming out soon. They have 2 bundles, which they're claiming is limited, which is their Gek Special Edition and Table bundle, which I have no idea the difference between them. And again, like, I don't get collectors.
Probably more stuff.
I think to me it looks like the let me just pull up the store page again to get the picture. This table bundle looks like it comes with some, like, maybe it looks like
Cards?
some dice.
I
Yeah,
think
some
the dice comes in the
some
Gek.
special. No, because it's not on the Gek picture. Some special.
Dice is. It's on the bottom.
Is it?
The table
Under the blue book.
the table bundle does come with the Gekt box too.
Oh, down here.
So it's the Gekt box plus also a standard core rulebook, extra dice, and extra Nuka-Cola caps apparently.
Oh, that's
Okay.
extra stuff.
Okay, yeah, it's just some extra stuff.
I mean,
It's a lot of money.
it might be worth
It is a
it.
lot.
They're both a
Um,
lot of money. The special edition box, it looks neat, but it's also like it's a lot of money for something.
I mean, like,
Do they have time?
all of this is cool, but
Summer
I don't know
of
if I
21.
would. I don't know if I would buy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would spend this much money on a special edition for a role-playing game.
You know,
I mean, the box looks cool.
the only reason I have this special edition is at a convention. This is the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Bestiary, and when I stopped by there and I was going to buy the Player's Handbook, they're like, "Hey, you want to buy this for slightly cheaper than you would normally get the Monster Manual," because they meant to have a box of normal Monster Manuals and brought a box of these.
Oof.
And it's a convention. You're only planning to ship so much back.
Yeah.
So they
I will
took
say.
they took a hit for only a small profit on these guys, but I got to get one for
Yeah, it's a nice looking book too.
Oh, it is. I mean, it's nice to have it, but it's like I know one would buy a special edition otherwise. I know sometimes they look cool and you want them, but
So sometime this summer. I mean, I would love to see more.
I like the fact that they are including rules to play super mutants and ghouls. That's cool. I love ghouls in Fallout. They're like my favorite
yeah.
characters. I can just, if I play one, I can just shout "Hey, smooth skin" at everyone.
Get through the voice though.
they also
Hey,
have rules for
smooth
like
skin.
being robots, doing things like factions like Brothers of
Doing
Steel.
factions.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no! It's secretly a math game.
Like
Here's a computer problem, Vault Dweller. Please solve the equation.
I think that's one of the things that makes it that it works a little better than just converting stuff in, is they give a lot of the rules for a lot of the alternate types of characters, which are very unusual. Like, you could have a robot NPC on your team that's like an NPC, but you never really play it in a Fallout game. Or like the ghoul or a super mutant, you know.
Yeah, like what I'm wondering is with ghouls, like ghouls inherently have the risk of just going feral, so I'm wondering if there's going to be rules for that.
That would be interesting.
Oof. I would. I mean, if they had them, they really should be.
I
like,
imagine they
really
would be probably optional as well, or you could make them
or-
optional.
or really, really like rare, or like, hey,
Yeah.
don't take 50 radiation damage in a single turn,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Because I mean, not every ghoul goes feral either. There's like 300-year-old ghouls in Fallout.
It
We're
might
just like, whatever.
it might be that like the rules they'll set is like rather than you dying from radiation like a normal human would, you might go feral. You know.
I also wonder, are there rules for going from human to ghoul? Because that's a thing that happens to humans.
Yeah.
It's a lot rarer in in quotations the modern setting of Fallout. I thought too. It still can happen, but like
It depends. I mean, in Fallout 4, a dude got so high he became a ghoul. So
Also, Fallout 3, you nuke someone and they become a ghoul.
that's right.
yeah,
I think it
you blow up
requires,
that
like,
one city.
An incredible amount of like.
It's a
radiation.
lot of radiation at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So-
it's not unprecedented. It's just uncommon.
Yeah.
Super Mutant would be fun to play since like everyone kind of hates you because you did terrible crimes.
But
I'd love to play a synth.
yeah.
Synth would be really fun.
Synth would be fun. They might not include that in the original. They might wait until like other books for that one too, because I assume they'll try to plan for that.
I imagine maybe
They'd probably just have human stats, though. To be honest,
yeah.
they might have like,
You would
one
probably would
different
be like an
ability.
advanced synth as well. You probably wouldn't be one of the earlier models.
No, probably not, because they're basically mindless, right?
Yeah, they're like just mind. They're like about as smart as a Protectatron.
I mean, you could be a
Yeah.
Mr. Handy robot.
Yeah, you could.
They are like pretty self-aware though. I feel.
Yeah, them and like RoboBrains are like the smartest robots, I think.
Yeah, which is weird because there's like, I mean, there's a lot of different robots, sort of, but I guess it's mostly Protectrons and Mr. Handies if you break it down.
Yeah.
And RoboBrains are kind of crazy and insane because
Yeah,
of
they're
Fallout.
like a human and a robot, and they went crazy.
Well, it comes down to how they made the brains. Originally,
true.
the juices they were using were like not right, and it's like, oh well, it's preserved, but there's like some pretty bad side effects. And also one of the original runs of it is they were using a lot of prisoner brains.
Oh right, yeah.
So they put insane people into robots,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
smart.
weird brain juices, and no, it was just a lot of bad stuff happened. I've played a lot of Fallout games.
Yeah, I've played a lot. I would love to be a player in this. I don't know if I would spend the money for like anything beyond the book,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I would love to play this.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
It's definitely been an interesting one to try out. I'm interested. One interesting thing I would say is, are they going to use a pre-existing setting, or are they going to come up with another location?
Oh, there's so
I
many
just
settings they
closed
could
it.
use, and then there's so many places they could go.
Yeah.
true.
Because because Canada's never been explored, and that's a big part of Fallout lore.
and
but
towards the
one of the
end.
things though is this is the Bethesda
Yeah,
ZeniMax version,
is the Bethesda lore, which is
mostly East Coast
Yeah.
USA.
East Coast and a little bit of like Illinois.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think West Coast for New Vegas, because they do consider.
But New Vegas wasn't Bethesda.
New Vegas.
Yeah, but it was under Bethesda though too. Stan.
New Vegas is also kind of like Colorado and Nevada. They could easily do one in New California as well. I mean, all the lore there exists. They expanded on that in New Vegas by a lot.
But I think part of it is Bethesda doesn't want to touch the West Coast stuff
Yeah.
because they don't want to alienate the original Fallout 1 and 2, which I believe Fallout 2 alienated Fallout 1 because they didn't have consistent writers. So people are like, oh, the original Black Isle games were the best. It's like,
Yeah.
you guys realize that they didn't even follow their own lore,
No,
right?
they didn't. Fallout's lore has changed with every game.
I think the Bethesda one is the most consistent until you get to 76, where they try and retcon and rewrite things.
They like retcon the creation of the Brotherhood to be like years earlier.
Yeah, but
And then
I
the
think
Enclave existed on the East Coast at that time too, which they didn't. But I mean, it's their game, so whatever.
Yeah, I think they mostly are trying to like shoehorn the classic stuff into an earlier thing, and they're just trying to be like, here's some sort of logical reasons why these things kind of exist without technically breaking the canon, because they want to include these things into the game because it's part of the overall world and setting. It'd be like, let's play a Fallout game with none of the Fallout things, no ghouls, no mutants, no mutated creatures. At that point, it's not really a Fallout game.
No, it's not. But
the thing is, like, just to argue, Fallout 76, you could have just like put like 100 years on their time frame. Why did you have to?
I mean,
go
yeah, but
that
they
far?
wanted to have like a super early game in the timeline for some reason.
I think because they wanted to have it less dead.
Yeah, I mean, even like 4 doesn't look that dead, and that's set years after 3.
4 is the oldest game canonically. It's also the earliest.
I feel
Yes, technically speaking, yes.
I feel like when you talk about like less dead, you almost have to look at like I gotta give New Vegas an example. It's a desert. It's not dead.
It feels very alive.
It feels like an actual like just desert. It's just got like things that have changed because of horrible amounts of radiation and mutation and stuff like that. It means that there could be places that have recovered. Like even like the swamplands from the DLC in Fallout 3.
Yeah.
You know, places recover. You could just be in a place that maybe wasn't near any bombs particularly and recover quickly.
it would really come down to where you set it, because, I mean,
They were in West Virginia. No one moves West Virginia.
yeah, West Virginia didn't really get hit, but like, if you would have set that shit in like New York or even Boston again,
It'd be
those got
ruins.
directly hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just be pure ruins.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the problem that they have is they have a lot of fans. Like, for example, the easiest thing to be like, all right, it's 200 or 2,000 years in the future. They can, it's whatever number, right?
Yeah.
But technology is coming back, so why would they still have the same technology from pre-war when they're super super advanced and most of the radiation has been cleaned up or something?
Yeah.
So they can't go too far ahead, because then they kind of have to start writing all brand new lore. Where in Fallout 4, where it's the most late in the timeline, they're still in like a really heavily ruined city that's just taken that long to rebuild, and the Institute
Yeah.
has different variations of old technology that they're just like, but it's our version now. So they've kind of rebuilt that technology.
I feel like that's why like visiting new places isn't a bad idea. Like, granted, like you say, like Boston's a pretty major city. They did Washington D.C. You can choose. There's other major East Coast cities, or even you could just have a region too. Like,
hell, just do Chicago again. Make just Chicago an actual canon thing, because it's currently sitting in this weird limbo of kind of canon but not. Or
Chicago,
same thing with
again.
Yes, because it's still Tactics was Chicago.
Ooh,
It's a
Tactics is
Chicago.
technically non-canon.
They pull things from it to put into canon though.
Oh,
Like
so
the airships are from Tactics.
Really? So they basically pull a current Star Wars. They pull things from.
They're pulling from the games people didn't really like. One they haven't touched yet is the god-awful Brotherhood of Steel game in Texas. So that's fully non-canon, so they could just set something down there.
Yeah,
if they wanted
Chicago,
to.
Philadelphia, like New Orleans, Miami, like San Antonio, or like Austin in Texas. You could go like Phoenix if you want to go another desert area. You could go actually like one of the cities in California.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's a lot of major U.S. cities you could go to. Anchorage. Anchorage would be interesting.
Anchorage would be. Alaska would be very strange.
Oh,
though.
that'd be amazing. Because the thing with that is that was where a huge war happened.
Yeah,
right?
that's kind of what kicked off everything.
Yeah, so you could have like tanks. Give me
Yeah.
vehicles finally. You can have the tanks, you can have the APCs, you can have all the variations of power armor. You can have the Chinese stuff. You can start bringing in a lot of that.
It's the fact that
barely
there's
seen that.
all this stuff that's probably left over in these battlefields that because
Yeah.
right at the end of that war there was a freaking like nuclear war and they didn't really have as much time to clean up, you know.
Yep.
It's like, Alaska would be great. There's like plenty of places that they could go to that I could say they could have. Oh, go ahead.
I would kind of be into, because they've kind of established the NCR is set up. I would actually kind of be into another game in the NCR, because they've established, well, it's set up, it's incredibly unstable still after all of those years. So I'd be kind of interested in a game there, or hell, one in the Caesar's Legion territory.
Because
could be interesting after New Vegas with the war, whereas both parties kind of started falling apart.
Yeah, I would be against the Caesar's
Legion there's some bad things there, mostly slavery.
Yeah, but also the way they're basically just tribals, right? And they're just like, everyone be under me or die, and then a lot of them died.
To an extent, there are to an extent that like that. They don't really heavily go into it, but if you look at kind of the quote unquote original planned stuff that Bethesda is still kind of pulling from, they were like an actual government that was way more safe than anywhere else in the wasteland, surpringly.
But I believe the safety came from
it did come from horrible
fear.
Yeah, brutality and fear.
It wasn't.
Which is something New Vegas talks about quite a bit, and why I like New Vegas is it shows, hey, these guys are bad, but they have kind of reasoning for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a ridiculous, lawless thing, and there was no order, and he brought about order
Yeah.
through violence, basically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
kind of re-civilized that area. Not in a very nice way, but
No.
in a way that worked.
Well, it's very traditional, like the world. That's what you gotta say about it. Like you look at that and you're like, oh, that's so awful, but you're like, also like that happened a lot. In
Yeah.
history.
I will say though, I would dislike having to play in an area with a bunch of Rome cosplayers.
Oof.
That's
Yeah.
that's like that would be the worst.
So
Peak meme.
I am curious what the RPG is going to show for a setting. If they're not going to put, if they might not put any in the core book.
I think they'll probably give like some general information on DC or Boston, since those are Bethesda's two big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Just giving you examples of areas that
Is
are like, already
ZeniMax
well-developed.
the other company?
They're the parent company.
They're the parent company. Where they got bought up and kind of ripped apart by Microsoft recently.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Microsoft owns them.
Because their copyright is for both Bethesda Softworks and ZeniMax Media Company.
Yeah, they still exist, but under Microsoft now.
But was ZeniMax
I was going to mention
was ZeniMax the original people that worked on Fallout?
ZeniMax were the company that kind of bought the IP, and then they own Bethesda, and they're like, have this, do something with it.
I thought Bethesda was its kind of own thing, and then ZeniMax bought them many years ago.
Don't remember the order, but Fallout 3 is branded with ZeniMax.
Okay.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot of like weird combinations of this entire thing with Fallout.
That's just kind of how the tech industry goes.
Mm-hmm.
Just corporate nonsense.
Corporate stuff. Whee!
Yeah, but I'm into it. I like Fallout. I like RPGs.
I guess in summer we'll have to like take a look again to see if they either they give us a quick start guide at some point in time to like give us the rules, or if one of us is gonna hold.
Oh, that'd be nice. Because like saying, hey, we're gonna be selling it. It's like that's cool. It's gonna be 2D20. Sure, that can work. But other than that, there's nothing to go off of.
I've seen the dice. It's gonna be the same kind of system as Star Trek. I'm gonna be honest with that. At least the dice system will be. Which is not a bad dice system. It's an interesting one, but like, it's their system. You know, it's what they've developed. So I guess we'll probably see that much later. Though I'm gonna be honest too. We'll take a look at that a little later on. Let's talk about there's a Deadpool Cards Against Humanity style game. Deadpool Vs The World.
Oh no.
This is a thing.
It's a party game. It's adult. It's supposed to be like very nerdy. It's a 17+ game, obviously.
17.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotta get the
adults only.
There's 100 custom illustrations of Deadpool in hilarious and compromising situations, and you fill out captions and stuff, and etc., etc. I mean, I don't know just what to say about this one. Do we need more?
I like Deadpool. I don't like Cards Against Humanity.
I don't hate Cards Against Humanity.
That's
kind of
where I sit.
Cards Against Humanity is sort of like in this fence for me of like I can have fun games with it, but I can also have games that are like, wow. I guess it depends on who you're playing with. I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's one of those heavily dependent on people you're playing with.
Like, I don't mind that's going to be a little adult, but I feel like the more adult and crazier ones are not as fun. You know?
No, like there's a lot of things in Cards Against Humanity that are just offensive for the sake of being offensive.
Yeah, they're a little too much. Yeah, and I feel that's why.
I don't think Deadpool's going to go that far because it's not Cards Against Humanity. I think it's more just like, haha, Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool's quirky and funny.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it would be a better game or not. You know, that's the kind of like weird point I'm gonna put it at. Is there a better adult game? I don't know. Like, just at least one. I don't mean like, you know, necessarily like adult, like, you know, mature audience type of games. Things that you like, you know, will have references to things or very silly stuff that might need a level of adult humor to it, like violent, sexy time kind of stuff like that. Even
Violent, sexy times? No.
Yeah.
No.
they're separate. They're separate.
Ooh.
They could be together.
Hey,
If that's your
there's
thing.
a comma.
If that's your thing, they can be together. But there's a comma in that statement there. I mean, like, do we need another one? I don't know. Do we need a Deadpool one? I also don't know. It's like kind of like this weird thing.
But Deadpool, it had 2 movies, and I think both of them were good.
I've only seen the first movie, and I did like the first movie.
I have only seen the first
second
as
was
well.
pretty good.
I haven't. It's on my list of things to watch still.
I will say,
I don't watch TV or movies anymore. So.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of stopped watching movies for the most part.
there is a list of movies I've probably heard about that I will watch, but it is probably much shorter than, like, overall. There's a lot of movies that are like, I might see that sometime, and then I don't see it. You know.
For reference, I have barely seen any of the Avengers, Marvel Cinematic Universe thing. I have seen, like, a couple of them. It's like, these could be fun to watch.
Yeah, I've seen, like, a few of those, and that's it. So my care for superhero stuff is very low.
There's like 3 I could give people as a list of, like, you should watch these. The rest of them are like, well, they're movies that I enjoy just because I'm very easy to entertain when it comes to just
my
random
taste in
action.
movies is garbage. Like I enjoy consuming hot garbage movies.
Look,
I'm sorry, it's got a visual image of you eating garbage.
Yeah. It's a bit like Danny DeVito as the trash man.
Okay.
look, I'm just gonna
So
say.
yeah, it's Deadpool.
Watch the 3rd Thor movie. That's a good one. That's the one.
Ragnarok's good, yeah.
Ragnarok. And the next one that comes out after it, because it's Taika Waititi and he does a lot of really good stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but I feel like also, like, USAopoly is great with putting out products at weird times. I gotta say that. This is something I think I talked about with Joe, that, like, they're licensed products, like 99% of the products they are licensed, they put them out at random times in comparison to actual, like, reasons to put them out. I feel like it's just like they finished it.
This
we're getting it out.
would have been better between the release of the first movie and the second movie, because then there'd be a hype for it.
I mean, it is, according to Google, it is almost like the 30th anniversary of Deadpool or something.
No one remembers
maybe that's
that.
what they're going with.
No one remembers that. I gotta be honest.
However, I had to Google that.
Yeah.
This would have made sense when, like, a movie was coming out or something.
Yeah,
Exactly.
30th anniversaries of movies, that tends to sometimes have a little bit more hype to them, you know, sometimes. Character being created in a comic book, people like the character, doesn't mean they remember it. Like, honestly speaking, there are characters that I like from other comics that I would not remember when their anniversary would be, ever.
I
Batman.
love
Batman.
Spider-Man. I don't know when the fuck
Yeah,
Spider-Man came out.
Don't remember Spider-Man. I'm not a huge fan of Superman, but, like, I'm sure there are out there. Do they remember the anniversary of Superman's creation?
Probably.
Josh is a big Superman nerd. I don't know if he could tell you when the first issue of Superman was.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of these things that are like, do you remember that? So, like,
Pepper's Farm remembers.
Pepper's Farm is a dick, and they want me to buy their goddamn cookies, and most of them I'm not a fan of. Some of them I am. Anyway,
yeah, my opinion is it's a Deadpool game.
Yeah.
It's kind of adult card game. Woo! I really don't have any say about it.
I don't think I would play it.
yeah.
That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you really want an adult game, there's, like, Super Fight or Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, I mean, like, my go-to party game is the same every time. It's just Coup. That's the one I play.
Hey,
There's also the Jackbox games.
I do like
Also,
Jackbox games. Jackbox games are fun.
Cranium.
Don't give me any history games because I am dumb.
Cranium's not a history game. Cranium is a game that is a party game where you have such great things as there are topics, but there are things like because you work on teams. One person on the team sculpts something, and everybody has to guess what they're sculpting, or draws a picture.
Oh no, I am a terrible artist.
no.
As
Or
well.
or there's charades where you're trying to, like, act something out. I think there's also like one of my favorites was spelling backwards, and if you're on a team, you have to take turns doing it.
Oh, that's
Oh
cursed.
God.
I also can't spell.
Which one of my friends was spelling
Yeah, I'm
chocolate with another.
Terrible at spelling.
And like the thing is, he was drunk, and so the other person wasn't. So they were getting through it. They got through all of chocolate, and the other person goes H, and he only needs to say the C left. And you see him thinking there for like a couple of seconds, and he goes K.
Close enough.
We're like, chocolate?
That's a different thing altogether.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, are we gonna?
I think I did a charades where someone was like, "You're hiding, you're seeking, you're hiding, you're seeking," and I'm like, "It's hide and seek. Just get it together." That's cranium. Anyway, yeah.
I think if you say anything, it's void.
Like I do enjoy that. Anyway, Tales of the City, which is I think it's done by Silver Games LLC, which I think.
Okay, we have to talk really bad about it so that we summon Umber from the dead.
It's the same people that do Pony Finder. When I mentioned that there's not only
there's
not only a My Little Pony
boy.
RPG, there's Pony Finder, which is basically first edition Pathfinder, except you're a pony.
I'm into it.
I gotta see this picture. Show me the picture. Oh hell yeah! I don't know what this is, but just based off the picture, I want it.
There's a robot
I
giraffe,
don't care anything
and
about
someone's
anything.
swinging a sword on a robot bird that has X's over its eyes when it's getting chopped up.
It's furry Pathfinder.
Yeah,
Give it to me now.
I'm into it.
Yes, please.
I would like this.
So yes, and well, Pony Finder is certainly furry Pathfinder to the extreme. And then we have in Tales of the City, they're making it that it's modern day tropes and stuff like that. So new gear, feats, spells, and much more. It's compatible with 5th edition, 1st edition Pathfinder, 2nd edition Pathfinder. So I assume they have like a general basis for things, and then they have like here's how you adapt it to each thing. You know.
Can I die and become a furry person in our Friday game?
Yeah, you could play a furry.
Hell yeah!
You emerge out of some weird portal into this dark, horrible timeline.
Oh, I forgot of the dark horrible time.
I like that.
Oh, well.
Take your game to the modern age or drag the modern age back into the past. We aren't here to judge, just to empower your section to the next level.
Hell,
this is awesome. I feel like this company would never judge anything. I mean, they have a game which was it came out before the My Little Pony actual RPG because no one had one. And they're like, we're gonna do Pony Finder. That's what we're going to do. I remember they were the first one. I'm like, this is the furry group. They're there.
Oh, and there's Pony Finder First Steps. It's in the related people who bought this also bought that. I approve of this message.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, I love this.
This is a product for me.
Yeah, I just wish I had money because I would probably buy this.
Oh man, $20 is not that much for a PDF.
I mean, this is $44.98.
That is the hardcover plus PDF. Yeah.
Book.
PDF is just
PDF
19.
is 20,
Yeah, okay.
just 20.
which ain't bad.
Soft cover, hardcover, same price, 40.
That's shocking that they're the same price.
That is weird
To
that
me,
they're
at
the same
least,
price.
because hardback is usually way more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's. Oh, I'm sorry. Because I was looking at the campaign. I found the actual original campaign setting book, which I don't know when this came out. I'm trying to figure that out.
I have a cough coming on.
All right. You know, which similar prices. Anyway, it's interesting that they've brought the this entire thing to the modern age. I know that I've seen them occasionally that they're doing more of this stuff. That they're doing product lines still too, which is neat. I mean, if there's people that want the books and stuff, and you keep making them, good for you.
This will be the next game I run.
Oh hell yeah!
I mean, Blaze can remake his character Trace, who was an anthropomorphic cheetah.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Yes,
Which,
I can play the Floofler again.
Oh no!
That was...
Oh no, I can play Ling 2.0, the Floofler.
Yeah, perfect.
Highland the Floof.
Oh boy.
And I'll just have minions. That's my class ability is minions.
Yep. I mean, Trace was a good character. He occasionally ran at like Mach 7 because cheetah, and was best known for tanking a evil wizard trying to set off a necklace of fireballs and destroy a portion of a city where there was a bunch of refugees. By just like as the person was about to throwing it, super speeding in, leaping up, and putting his hand on the necklace as it was about to explode, keeping it so there was an explosion there, and surviving.
I'm just gonna link this in our call so that Umber can enjoy that when they awaken.
Awaken again. Slumber, slumber, slumber.
Yeah.
Probably slept us.
Oh no, this looks good.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we talked about a line a little bit before. Now they have a modern day setting thing for it. Neat. Let's hit up. I do have a Kickstarter, but we'll save that for after our deeper discussion topic for today.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
This
Time to get deeper.
This harkens back to the April Fool's monsters. Something like an April Fool's game or a silly game. Have either of you had a silly game before?
I've had silly one-shots, and that's about it.
Same with me.
All my games are silly. You are in one. You should know this. Traps.
Yeah.
I mean the nets.
Yeah, the nets.
Let me put it this way. The quintessential silly game that I had, these were the following enemies. Our first enemy was a gnomish vampire whose teeth were not sharp enough to bite through anybody's neck, so he had a +1 straw to drink blood. And was introduced to us.
Steel straw.
Yeah, was introduced to us by sitting in a tree and going. I was like, what's that noise?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love
We
it.
were also going to. We didn't do any more, but we were going to fight a Nader Titan, which, if you don't know that, in 3rd edition there was a Paragon template in the epic level book. Our DM was like, well, what if there was a Nader, which was the complete opposite, which just reduced your stats completely. So it's like this template, which would have been awesome, which gives you like plus 10 to all your stats, gives you all these bonuses to attack. That was Paragon. It was like you're supposed to be the epic like version of something. So if you put like Paragon on an orc, it would change from like your CR 1/2 thing to like a CR 15. That's what it's supposed to do.
God.
What if you put Nader on something? And in this case, a Titan, which reduced its like a Titan's like a CR 20, reduces it to like being actually like fightable. Because it's so weak, it has like minus penalties to all of its stats and stuff like that.
Oof.
And there was also going to be a Kobold Wraith.
Oh god.
A ring of kobolds?
No, Wraith, like the evil spirit.
Wraith.
This is a Kobold.
I heard ring for some reason, so I was just thinking of a
Yeah,
kobold.
We also defeated the Wereporpoise by putting a cork in his blowhole.
Oh.
Which turned out to be his weakness, so he exploded.
Oh no.
Oh, that's awful.
we were in a bar. We were getting drunk, and this guy was like, "You're cheating. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." And he just torches to a porpoise in the middle of the thing, and he's just a porpoise in the middle of a bar. And someone's like, "I'm just gonna put a cork in his blowhole." It's like, and our GM's like, "That's his weakness. Explodes." It's like.
There is now porpoise all over.
That was the kind of silliness it was. There was a lot more to that, but Nipple Ring of Wonder.
Of
course.
Like a Rod of Wonder.
I'm gonna add cursed nipple rings into the game.
Oh, poor Kilmer.
Yeah. He'll be like, oh, I'm gonna put these on, and you know what they'll do? They'll cover your chest.
Oh no.
And the other second silly game I have to mention, just a quick summary is, it ended with a gang fight in the streets where half the PCs were on one side and the other half were on the other side. And we had such great characters in it as Claps, the Bard with castanets, and Bubbles, the ill-tempered border collie with a knife in his mouth.
Nice.
That was the kind of silliness that you get. So that's a silly game. They're best for one-shots.
One silly one-shot I had, and embarrassingly, it took us a very long time to realize it. It was the Snakes and Ladders dungeon.
Ooh. Oh.
Oh boy. I mean, I feel like that's something that we can talk about. There's always that place for a silly one shot. You're playing with some friends. You're doing something a little silly. You're not taking things seriously. Could you have a comedy game that's more than one session?
Probably not, to be honest.
No,
I think you'd burn out.
I think you could do it for maybe a couple sessions max, but like once you get past a certain point, you're just gonna keep beating the same joke over and over again.
Yep.
I feel.
Well, it's like that first one I was talking about where we're going to have this cast of enemies. I feel like that one had a setup for maybe playing a few more times. I don't know how far we could have gone, just because our team dynamic was stupid. I was kind of like the straight man. We had an insane elven princess. We had Anorexic the bulimic rogue, and then we had Chipple, the female dwarf who used the nipple ring of wonder to shrink herself to 6 inches and was riding around on a puppy. That was the team we had. We weren't going to fight jack shit. I'm going to be honest on that stuff. We were not great at fighting anything. We were never going to be great at fighting anything. It was going to be awful if we had to fight anything in a serious battle. We shouldn't have. But I feel like it was 3rd edition D&D. Like, 3rd edition D&D, as fun it is to, like, roleplay in that, you really kind of want combat back then.
Yeah, the system is a little bit not as hateful as Pathfinder, I feel. I feel like Pathfinder hates you. 3.5 is like, I don't know, you want to be a flying super demon? Here you go.
Well, I think that's the thing is, like, I think 3rd edition was less balanced. They were just like, Pathfinder was like, look, man, you know, we're going to give you balance, but we also hate you because you wanted balance. Because you don't want balance.
How dare you make us balance?
How dare you make us do this?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I personally would enjoy like a comedy game going on for an extended period of time.
Is it like you can get too much comedy? Is there like a limit to?
I also feel like it's highly dependent on people you're playing with.
Yeah, I agree.
But I know for me, I am a theater kid, so I like my drama. So I would just get tired of it, personally.
Also, you can overdo jokes, right?
Yeah, you can. You can beat a joke into the ground.
Especially if you're doing the same joke over. Like, if you make a joke character and they have this one theme and that's the joke, and you keep doing that joke over and over again, eventually it's no longer funny and it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a hard balance, especially like having it, and like I feel like maybe there isn't a room for the ultra silly game. Maybe there's a room for a game that has like a silly theme to it or overtone to it. Like,
oh yeah, that would be fine, I think.
Oops, all tools, because tools could play up serious, but Tools was a really silly character I played. I played a ridiculous character. I had no backstory, and I just kept inventing the most insane backstory as we went along in the entire campaign. I just kept adding shit on. The more like that was related to what we were doing. It's like, oh hey, I have a comment about this that's related to my backstory that just makes it more insane. You know, that was my entire theme of Tools' like evolution as a character. I don't know if I took it too far at times. I found it fun. I don't think any of the other players complained too much. But I also tried to, in the vein, play up the character at least serious to a degree when dealing with the like combats and some of the encounters we had, you know?
My throat is hating me right now.
Oof.
It's a very
so
that's a
I have
balance.
a cough drop.
Yeah, that's a balancing act that I like. I don't know if a Worm has all those saved, but I would like to go back and look and see how well I balance that kind of character.
Like one of I suppose a silly character I have done this was literally just a totally normal, boring ass human, actually. But the thing was, every time when asked, his backstory would change, and each time would just become something more and more silly or ridiculous or like unbelievable because he just kept lying about it. And then at the end, they found out, oh, you're just a fucking normal dude.
I think the hardest part is if it's a longer term game and your character is so silly and ridiculous that it's hard for them to become part of the party. Because
Yeah.
we've had a lot of instances where meshing in with the group, and we can talk about it a little bit more when we start talking about our games we've been playing.
Yeah.
But I feel like being a part of the adventure and meshing with the group, as I do hand signals that you can't see, is really important for a long-term game. And if your character is so ridiculous and out there and silly or weird that you are just you're alienated from the party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a story related to a character that absolutely did not mesh with anyone else in the party. Basically, I don't know how long ago this campaign was, but it was a long time ago, and I love the person who played this character to death. They're one of my best friends. But she played a rat folk rogue who was just, okay, I'm gonna just keep doing silly things in situations where you shouldn't do silly things. Like we were busting into this sort of abandoned cave mine thing, almost like the one in Lost Mines. And there was a water wheel, and the rogue was like, okay, I'm gonna go jump on the water wheel and get it spinning by running on it, and that alerted a pack of ghouls in the next room to attack us. And it is just nothing but that, and I got horribly frustrated because this character just didn't mesh with anything.
Like, I have some examples of places where I think silliness worked to a degree. Let's give a good example of a character that has a really silly concept, but they played it seriously. One of my Carrying Crown adventures, Sneakers. They were a rogue. They built their character to do improvised fighting. So they would do all these improvised feats that they could throw things for sneak attacking with it. They threw shoes.
I like that.
It's silly because
Yes,
and that was why they were called Sneakers. Brom Ballarok, which I made, who is this character that when he talked about things, I would talk like this. I would talk kind of like Yosemite Sam mixed with Foghorn Leghorn. I challenged people to duels all the time. I was a gunfighting dwarf that could do well in combat. But I was also like a southern gentleman, and weird stuff that happened with him, was just because of weird interactions, and I played him up being like an actual southern gentleman, and believing in duels to solve his problems. He challenged people to duels all the time. That was a little bit I feel Brahm, because it was the back end of a campaign where my character died and I had to replace it with Brahm, it worked okay. Long term, the entire campaign, he might not have worked out. It's silliness is so very hard to balance, and on the player side, you can make something either a little silly in concept and play it, or be kind of like a serious character but play it a little silly, and I think those aren't necessarily bad if you do it right, but
I often struggle with being a little bit on the silly side, just by nature of the kind of person I am. But I'll use Zoram as an example. There are times where this man will stop and talk to plants, or if a plant gets hurt, he will just apologize to it for hurting it. And I think that's the level of silliness I could do, just having a little weird quirk like that comes up every once in a while.
I have an answer to everybody's silliness. Mishka.
Oh yeah.
Mishka adopts animals wherever you go.
Oh yeah.
Every time she adopts animals, I just see what she rolls and I give her a result. This has resulted in, I don't know, serial killer Yakuza Flumph joining your team. Adopting the weird cat platypus.
Yeah.
And then
dire platypus.
The dire platypus, and then the bugs which are living in her clothes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I went with the roles, but they are just it's that level of you're an animal whisperer that just recruits the weirdest things. You don't like recruit normal stuff. You're like, I'm gonna pet these wolves and tame them. Like they did do well, like early adventures were like, oh, these like mountain lions. We made friends with them and they're like kittens. Maybe we should adopt them. They left because
it kind of works in that
It
game though, because
Does though.
you're kind of a bunch of evil people. So
Yeah.
like, here's this terrible monster. I'm gonna befriend it because I love terrible monsters.
The
And...
insects were the best to ever friend.
These cute electrical foxes. No, the weird worm horses.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
electrical foxes would have been great for me personally, but the worms and their just horrible, gross, disgusting nature, it fits better
It
in the setting.
it disgusts docs to no end.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
should have killed them with fire.
I was gonna try to cast Cause Fear to get them to leave, but I'm not high enough level to target all of them.
I like kind of roll and choose how many there were. I mean, the dire platypus was just silly. I had to let you take it because it was the idea of like creating an actual platypus, of just throwing out a bunch of statistics, and that's what it has, because that's what a normal platypus is. Someone just rolled a bag of like, these are the random traits this creature has, and that's when I'm like, it can shoot electricity from horns, and it also breathes fire, and it also has a sticky goo that it can create from its
fine.
mouth.
It's a horrible monster, but everyone loves it.
Yeah.
It is like an adorable, like, medium dog right now. Yeah, I don't know. I like a little silliness in a game. Not to keep things too serious, but finding that right balance is a really tough thing. And going a game that has, like, a really, like, maybe our holiday game that we had was a silly game.
It was. I mean, with the characters we had, I think we made it silly.
Yeah, I think I played a super serious Dragonborn samurai or whatever, but like everybody else was weird and crazy.
Specifically, like, I think most of the interactions Umber and I had kind of pushed it to the silliness.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Umber was playing it was a halfling barbarian.
Yeah.
I forget their name.
Stroon or something?
Oh, yeah, it was like
Yeah,
Stu or Stroon or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Stroon or
and
something.
it was just... Yeah, but it was just kind of like, it was a one-shot, so we were being silly because it wasn't going to be a lasting campaign. Those characters, if you tweaked them a little bit, could work in a longer-term game, but as we had them in the one-shot, no.
I feel like...
I will say, I have taken a look at my character, and I have tweaked it for an NPC. So...
Oh, no.
Like,
we're gonna have Miri appear in the Friday.
Yeah,
game.
you might. If an encounter is rolled, you may.
I gotta be honest.
I will love her.
Most of the characters work pretty well. Like, they're a little silly. Like, even Joe's character. You know what? He sounded silly on like paper, but the way he acted. But I'm like, he acted like a satyr would. He was a satyr bard.
Satyr, yeah.
Oh, he
it
was
made
a bard too, or
He was
something.
satyr
right?
bard.
Satyr bard.
He acted like a satyr bard. He liked drinking. He liked partying. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like that.
I was basically playing a paladin.
Yeah, you were a
Mary
paladin.
was
And Lindsay was a depressed monk.
depressed. We can never forget Mark. And
Yeah.
the only
Friar-
happiness
Friar
that character
Mark.
had was receiving a cookie.
Friar Mark, who was he was an agnostic monk.
Way of mercy, I think, is what Lindsay played.
Yeah.
So he's not only like an Asian monk, he's also an agnostic monk, and it's hilarious because he's both.
Yeah. And Mary was just someone who got bored of living in the Feywild for a bit and decided to pop over for a party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like, this is fun. I like this. I like fun in games.
She immediately vanished after the party. She went back home.
The adventure wasn't bad either. I think like it not to like get distracted by that, but I think it's an example of something that like definitely in a one-shot format had a level of silliness, but could evolve into something else. Like I feel like if I wanted to like plan out like a couple holiday specials a year, this could be the holiday special team.
The holiday crew.
Mm-hmm.
just every now and then they just all happen to be in the same town at the same time. Like, oh no,
Oh
and
no!
it becomes a running joke at that point. Whenever they gather all at the same town in a place, it's like, wait a minute, I remember you guys from last year. What the heck's going on? And then random bullshit happens, and it makes it a funny setting. Is because these characters keep meeting, and every time they meet up, weird, crazy stuff happens, and that's like a joke setting.
Yeah.
And it's over a long period of time, as opposed to every month or every week. Like every Sunday, they meet up and weird things happen. It works better as a longer
Like
term game.
a longer episodic kind of thing.
I feel like if you want to go for that, like every week meets up, something silly happens, rather than going for like something really silly, you almost have to go then like lean mystery and go almost like Scooby-Doo Gang. Scooby-Doo Gang is like you could play a Scooby-Doo adventure. It would be kind of like a little bit silly, a little bit like mystery, and that's the thing is you offset like the silliness with like a little bit of like the mystery, and maybe like every danger or like quest you go on ends up having this weird innocuous like explanation for it it's old man Jenkins, but why did he dress up as like a vampire? He's not a vampire.
Listen,
but the thing with Scooby-Doo is, because it's official now in Scooby-Doo canon, ghosts and stuff are real.
Yeah.
It's just most of the time they're not. So you could have like 5 games of just silliness, and then the 6th game, actual like vampires or actual Frankenstein's monster. You could do that in Scooby-Doo Adventures now, because that's a real thing.
All I'm saying, there's now a book full of mystery adventures.
Yes.
Oh, that's true.
Yes. You could do a Scooby-Doo gang adventure and have like. And again, like, it's the characters, like, you have to think about it, like, if I break down, like, some of the characters, like, granted, like, Scooby and Shaggy are stoners. One of them's a talking goddamn dog. Another one's a super stoner that gets the munchies and wanders off. But, like, Velma's the nerd that always loses her glasses or something. Maybe has like.
Oh no, my glasses!
Can't see without my glasses.
I mean, they don't like 60s Velma. They don't, or Daphne. They don't portray very well. She's just kind of a little there.
She's just there.
Yeah, she exists. Later, Daphne is much more characterized.
Yeah.
And she's the one who pays for everything. She's the sugar mama.
She's the sugar mama.
And then
that makes a lot of
Fred
sense.
Fred is the party himbo.
He is the party himbo, who's really good at making traps. That's his skill.
Yeah.
But he definitely has no wisdom and all intelligence.
He's low wisdom.
His wisdom is his dump stat.
He's got high intelligence, low wisdom, and he's just like, look, I come up with this genius trap. Then we'll lure it into said trap using, like, I don't know, something stupid, and it's like, but that's, okay, sure. And because, like, like, Daphne's like, sure, I'm here, and, like, and Velma's like, well, Fred, I guess that would work. We could try it out, patronizing him, I feel like.
Scooby and Shaggy are off getting high and eating somewhere, so they have to say.
Yeah.
Dude, we're gonna find munchies in this haunted mansion. I'm like, no, you aren't. How old is this stuff you're eating? But yes, see, like,
not old enough.
I'm sure you could make a version of that would work in a game. So there's this like overwhelming tone of silliness, but if you play it like seriously, maybe that would work.
I think it could.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. Go ahead.
You just have to know when too much is too much as far as the silliness goes. Because then you get into the this is really annoying, right? Because you're hitting your tropes too much. Like you could have the trope of like Fred, wisdom is a dump stat, and you just like you make plans that are intelligent plans, but they're silly and weird and convoluted, as opposed to playing an actual moron who has no like social graces or something.
Yeah. And I think, like, sticking to that, like, like, okay, I'm really great at putting up plans, but they're convoluted plans, That's not a bad thing to play up as a character, and then maybe, like, you have someone like your Velma character who can be, like, who has, like, their own disadvantages and little things that make them quirky, but they might be the one that, like, maybe we'll cut out a couple of these steps here to make it a little simpler,
Maybe we'll just stick with, like, the net and not the entire Rube Goldberg machine.
I have there's a pressure plate, and when they step on the pressure plate, it's gonna knock over this jar of honey, and then the ants are gonna come over and start eating the honey. And see, when the ants leave the nest, the nest gets lighter, and it releases a different pressure plate, which lets go of a rope that's holding onto the net, and the net falls on the pressure plate.
Yeah.
And we'll keep them on the pressure plate long enough, the initial pressure plate, with this
with more honey.
with more honey.
Yeah, with more honey.
Stuck to it.
But then
some
Scooby
glue.
shows up and starts eating the
Yeah.
honey on the pressure plate and gets captured.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
This sounds about right. Oh, man. It's like, it's easy to inject a little humor in a game, but having a very humorous game is very difficult. And I think that's a very interesting thing about the systems of role-playing, because they're set up to be, like... Unfortunately, I think most systems are set up to be relatively serious.
Yeah.
I think it also has to do with, like, most people are somewhat serious with silly moments rather than very silly with serious moments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the weird thing, is, like, I think I can go either way with a character. Like, depending on the character, depends on what it is. Like, I can name, like, a couple of my Tools, Braum. They were very silly characters, and I stuck to their silly roots. A lot of my other characters are just relatively serious. I mean, like, I gotta be honest, like, I think a good example for the current games is my stupid elephant. My elephant's the most serious character I have right now. You know, like as much as I like Marty, Marty is like a innocent angel, which can result in comedy, you know?
Yeah.
It's Marty is too innocent for the world kind of thing at this point in time.
Oh, innocent angel, you say? That reminds me of a certain book with certain things that happen.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm playing a giant lizard in 2 different games. One of them is freaking Star Trek, you know, and the other one in a Pathfinder game where I'm, like, you know, the team mother of the group, because everybody's an idiot except for Blaze.
Oh, so you have teammate charisma as well?
It's not quite that bad. It's more team no wisdom.
Oh no! Oh boy!
So the
That's probably
sorcerer and the
worse.
paladin
Ugh.
work together to do really stupid stuff sometimes, and I'm like, no, please don't. I have a 12 wisdom. I'm not that wise, but I'm certainly more than your, like, whatever 8s that you act like you have. Please don't do that.
Listen, if we built this cannon, you can fire me at the enemy, right?
And
It'll
the cleric's
work.
like, look, I just pat you, and then Blaze playing the cleric's like, I just pat you guys back together. I'm not going to stop you from doing this, but please, you know, if you need to be patched up, I can take care of it. So yeah, and then of course, you know, yes, giant lizard doctor, which, I mean, I play him seriously, but it's a giant lizard doctor in Star Trek. It's silly in its nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
The concept is silly, the character is serious.
I'm going to tell you, like, a Luxodon in D&D has a level of silliness. He's a giant elephant guy. But, like, in the world, we've set up in the world, they're rare, but they exist. So that instantly when you're setting up in your setting, it's something that could be there, you know. Because we established in the world we're playing, Luxodons are known for being sailors. They're very nomadic on their home country, and took to sailing. So you might not find them on a lot of other continents, but you might find them in ports. You know, that's one of those interesting things about them. So, like,
Do they have fancy hats?
I think we normally have those, like, headrests that, like, normal elephants have. That's what they have them, like, because we're doing very, like, you know, the magic art for them always has them with that, because that works for their elephant heads.
You
because the
missed out on
giant
the
ears.
chance. You missed out on the chance of having, like, a tricorn hat or something.
I'm not a sailor, I'm a druid.
Oh, well.
That doesn't mean you can't have a tricorn hat.
It's true, I could have had
Yeah,
tricorn.
I mean, I'm not a sailor. I could buy one.
That's true. I could buy one too. But anyway, and also in our last session we shipwrecked anyway. I mean,
So there you go.
I
If you
tried
had
to
the
save.
tricorn, you would have
I
saved the ship.
tried to save the ship, but I have no sailing skills because I was a druid.
You need a tricorn of skill, and it has to have proficient sailor.
Yeah.
But
That'd be an amazing item.
but, like, you know, play the character seriously. You have it established in your world that, like, even something that seems a little silly, like, you know, like, turtles are very weird. If they're an, in quotation, normal thing in your world, they're not a silly concept. Outside the game, they might sound a little silly, but, I mean...
Just, what is it? Play... Oh, I don't know if they have ninja in 5th edition. I know you could be like rogue and monk, and that's kind of the same thing as ninja, because that's basically what ninja is.
The close would be Shadow Monk.
You have to be,
yeah, there you go, Shadow Monk.
You have to be a multi-class Shadow Monk, Artificer Alchemist, because then you could be a teenage mutant ninja.
Yeah, there you go. We've done it.
Yeah. You know, I've heard that you can't use the word ninja anymore. They're called heroes now.
That's Germany.
Oh, okay. That's weird. So someone was mentioning that in chat, and I'm like, why is... I'm so confused. I don't understand.
Germany does that because of World War II.
That makes sense. I mean, that's a very German thing to do. Because they basically are like, nope, that doesn't happen. Nothing happened.
We are not the same level of friends with Japan. Please ignore our, like, you know, like, no. We are just acquaintances. We don't know each other. Hi, Japan. We're acquainted. Oh,
yes, probably internet crashing.
Probably internet crashing. Well,
that is a thing that happened.
I do enjoy that, like, when it happens, we're arranged in such a way that it almost logically makes sense on the screen where we're at. It's like we just chunk over just a little bit.
Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Yep, there's the message. Hi, internet died again. Yeah, we saw. I'll respond to this. Cool. I love it. Oh, I have to spell better. Remember when I said I can't spell? There you go.
Yeah.
It's a callback to my lack of spelling. I don't know what we were talking about anymore.
I was going to go into the thing and say, Umber, save us. Because we lost. Save us.
I mean, they might can be back.
Lost. Alright, fine. I was just going to bother Umber anyway.
I mean, you could totally bother Umber, but they're not showing up.
Nah, Umber's probably like sleeping or doing Umber stuff.
They have to rest up for dealing with the game that comes after this, which is my game.
Yep.
Both Momo and Tantus are players in it.
So, I think to finish up this topic of what the silly game is, as I'm like partially, I'll move myself over here, mostly in the corner. There we go. It'll be fine. I'm mostly on screen now.
It's mostly.
It does turn on its own. I just realized that. Damn you, microphone.
Rip.
I have to, like, put this in front of my monitors, maybe. Maybe that'll work a little better. I gotta put my boom arm a little better at location, maybe, too.
I mean, at least it's not on camera.
No. But it's interesting that, like, I would love to experiment and find out if there's a way to have a relatively silly campaign out there without ruining the game or making it old. I just don't know.
Cowboys.
I guess, like, if you do Cowboys, because, again, like, I've said my influence for doing a cowboy game was I ended up on this weird rabbit hole of I was like looking up some, like, you know, things on like old classic games, and I saw Sunset Riders. So then I decided to enjoy Sunset Riders music, and I'm like, I could do a cowboy bounty hunter game.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I mean, it doesn't take much to take a cowboy theme and make it ridiculous. Just look at all the spaghetti westerns.
Yeah,
they're a little ridiculous. They take themselves seriously, but they are ridiculous.
As I said, no matter what, there will be a dwarf on a guitar, doing doing your Mexican music in the background, no matter what. You know, somewhere in the city.
It's like Tinihana or something.
Yeah, the mariachi dwarf.
Yeah, there you go. Make him also have a donkey or mule.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you just sometimes
he's the narrator.
Oh.
He introduces the stories, and then I talk as if I'm the mariachi dwarf, and then I just have him always kind of around for the adventures because he's the narrator of the story.
He's the
He's your
one guy from The
Watcher.
Witcher.
No, he's the Watcher from Marvel Comics. He's just a American.
Oh. Okay, see, I don't know Marvel Comics that much. I was thinking of the.
Technically
Bard
speaking,
from
it works.
Witcher.
Yeah, it works a lot worse in that one because it's just this guy with a big head that watches everything, and he's the one. Yeah, and he's the one that if there's the What If comics, he's supposed to be like the host of them. He's like, what if this was the way things were? You know.
What if Disney didn't buy Marvel?
Someone else would have.
Yeah, no, that's true. But would we have had the same movies?
Movies
what if Disney
began before the buyout, I do have to say.
Oh, that's fair. But what if Disney bought DC?
Ooh.
Would we have had good DC movies?
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, that's an actual question.
The thing is, like, you have to say, like, there's been important, like, just a quick side note on this one. The Marvel movies have at least had Kevin Feige as a figure who has done a very good job of managing the movies. Like,
you kind of need it, really.
You need someone like that who likes the properties and knows what they're doing. It's the reason
the easiest way to make a failure of a series or trilogy is by not having one person there directing all three movies in some capacity.
That's actually why there was a lot of issues with like Marvel TV I found out about recently, because like apparently for the longest time during the buyout, the one person who had a huge investment with Marvel still kind of had some stake in it, which I think was it Ed Eisner maybe?
I know that name.
Ed Eisner, I think that's the one it was, but whoever it was in particular was like an ultra conservative and not like had bad ideas and inserted them in a lot of places. Like, if you notice, the early Marvel TV was very non-womany, very white.
Oh, that is the guy. I was literally reading about this a couple days ago.
And that's why, like, now we see there's a lot more diversity and stuff because he was finally kicked out and Kevin Feige was put in charge of everything, from comics to the TV to everything. Up until now, only Kevin Feige had control of the movies for the longest time, and Ed Eisner had a lot of say in the television and comics.
Mm-hmm.
So
there was a big news article about that or something.
It was actually just something I was watching that someone was talking about. Was it Movie Bob was talking about it? He had.
I don't remember. We might have seen it at the same time, to be honest.
He did like a big expose on it that I think was during the... Welcome back. I can move back to the front. I don't have to be down in the corner anymore. Great.
Yes.
But I was saying,
return to normal.
He did like an expose along with, I think, when WandaVision came out about it. I think that he was talking about that history of it, which was really interesting to hear the history of Marvel Comics and into the movies.
I think I've watched that video. Because it sounds like we watched the same thing.
Yeah. It was interesting to learn about that and to see that, like, having that creative control is very important. Why do we get on the creative control over one thing? I don't know. But welcome
because
back.
You were talking about the what if, because you were talking about the big giant head in the
Watcher.
sky, the Watcher.
The Watcher.
And I said, what if Disney bought DC?
Momo, do you know the Watcher, at least from Marvel? No?
Oh, did we lose Momo again?
Maybe.
Uh-oh.
We're going to assume that it might be a maybe. There it goes. I'm back in the corner. I'm back in the corner. I've got myself...
No, hang on.
Maybe?
Technical difficulties, the episode.
Look, if I have to go... I'll just stay down in this corner here because I'm still on camera, and if it like switches out, I'm ready. I'll be at least in one frame and not like caught between frames.
Oh. It's just the best.
Oh, it's just the best. This is Silliness, the game, in a nutshell.
Silliness, the podcast.
Silliness, the podcast. I certainly, just to finish up the original topic, enjoy some silliness in my games, and, don't mind a relatively silly character, either I'm playing, or having some people that are a little silliness. Like, I gotta be honest, I kind of, to a degree, miss Lindsay in my Wrath game for two reasons. One, she was a great balance for Mads. And 2, she broke a lot of tension because Wintress played it seriously but was a ridiculous character.
Harken back to early days of Carrying Crown with Ling as the tiny fox, pestering the townsperson.
Yes. That was fun.
That was fun. And it kind of made sense in character because it was like, what can I do as a tiny fox? I don't know, do tiny fox things and just be annoying because this guy is suspicious.
Yep.
So I dug a hole in front of his door. Like, you walk down the steps and there's a big hole. It took me like all night to dig it because I'm a tiny fox, but I dug that hole. I also think I dug up some of his flowers as well.
Yeah, something like that.
I was under the house yipping all night long at one point.
Yeah, you were really tormented for that poor guy.
I was so mean to that poor man. But he was possessed by an evil ghost, so he had it coming.
I mean, he was a jerk to begin with.
Also that.
He was a jerk for reasons that I would say are bad, but understandable bad. He has it's the thing is that's the one thing I really both hate and love about the Pathfinder's writing. When they introduce NPCs, they give extensive backstories the players will never learn. I mean, they're great for me as a DM to know how to play these people and how to use them, but sort of these backstories are actually kind of interesting and explain a lot of their actions. He had a backstory that explained a lot of the ways he was and why, he kind of was a jerk about the professor, but he actually was concerned about his town, and, he might have been stupid and not understood what was going on, but, already weird shit had been going on, so he interrupted the funeral. Yeah. He was an idiot, didn't have the right reasons. He actually had motivation that was good, was the problem,
Oh, we were talking about this on Josh's stream yesterday. We were relating it to real life, so I'll cut out all the real life relevance to this.
Mm-hmm.
It was as a lawnmower drives past, hopefully you can't hear it.
Mm-hmm. Nope, not right now at least.
Good. That's amazing, because I hear it and it's annoying. But anyway, it was having good intentions but being misinformed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You may be doing things because you think they're the right reason, but because you don't know the whole situation, what you are actually doing is not helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's one of those things that's an easy thing to do for NPCs or even for PCs. And that's one of those things that I think is a character building moment in any case, because it's sort of you guys didn't like that guy to begin with because of what he did, but it's that thing, if people had actually reached out to him and found out about that, you could have learned more about him, and it could have you could have asked about him, stuff like that. You could have talked to the sheriff and been oh, he means the best, he wants to help the city, that's what the sheriff probably would have said. He means the best, he wants to help the city, but we all know that the professor wasn't a necromancer. He just got riled up. Probably him and the boys that were with him drinking a bunch. Don't mind them. I'll watch them. That's the basic probably sentiment that the sheriff would have had. No one talked about that though. I think they're just did you do something about him? And they're yeah, I'll just keep watch on him.
I think we did go talk to the sheriff, but I don't really remember what the outcome was. That was a long time.
It was more on make sure he doesn't do anything bad / arrest him rather than what the hell's his deal?
Yeah. More incoming news about our fellow co-host here, as it is slowly typed on I think a phone.
Probably a phone.
Yeah, it's a phone.
Probably a phone.
Definitely a phone.
Yep.
I guess you could talk about
I got a Kickstarter. We could move on to that kind of.
Yeah, the Kickstarter.
I have a Kickstarter for today. I know you folks wanted to talk about Grim Dawn. We could wait.
Oh, the Grim Hollow?
Grim Hollow. We could wait for Grim Hollow because of the internet issues at this point in time.
I mean, we could do it next week probably
Yeah.
if it doesn't come back, because they had an expansion. I don't know too much about it, but they added extra transformation things. There's like a Fey one now, and
And
there's
I
a
don't know a
rock
lot
person
about
now.
it. Yeah, I know very
Yeah.
little about it myself.
I
know
only
it.
have the first part of the book, which I think is just Grim Hollow. I guess Grim Dawn may be the expansion for it. It's addition. It's like additional book. And Momo definitely would be more informed about this, so they would have a lot more to say. They might actually own it as well.
Okay.
But overall the book is pretty interesting. It definitely is kind of in the Barovia kind of sense. It's like grim dark, right? It's grim dark.
Grim dark.
But they don't like throw it in your face. It's more like, hey, here's some suggestions to make your games darker themed, and with like 5th edition.
5e,
with 5th edition, there's a lot of like, oh well, I don't like this version, so I just not going to use it, right? You can just do that with a lot of stuff, because it's like, oh, there's these really bad consequences for whatever. And I mean, like the werewolf transformation, for example, I was talking about it with someone, and they're like, I would never use this because all the downsides. And I'm like, I can see that. And if I would do it and the player would be against a lot of those things, I would definitely change it for that player. And I don't think it would really break anything, because the downsides are pretty bad.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have the people for that.
Well, I think,
or you can just change it.
I think if we want to talk about it, we'll wait till next week. We can try to maybe talk about it, because I know it was something that was brought up. And again, like, it'd be interesting to discuss, you see, because again, like, we did talk about the Ravenloft book that's coming up a little bit, that they announced it, and this kind of relates to it. What I want to talk about is an interesting thing that's coming out, because it harkens back to the early days of 3rd edition. I think it was 3rd edition Bessem. Yeah, 3rd edition Bessem, because 4th edition Bessem just came out. In the time of 3rd edition Bessem, they came out with a book that was D20 Bessem. They actually did. That you could play using basically the open rules of 3rd edition 3.5 for Bessem. We already talked about Teenage Mutant Turtles. You can be a teenage turtle that is a multi-class, what was it, the Shadow...
Artificer and Shadow Monk or something?
Artificer, Alchemist, and Shadow Monk, and then your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. There you go, Josh.
That's an emote there.
That is an emote there. Is that a Felicia Day emote?
It might be.
Felicia Pucker. Funny probed. Anyway, I'm just going to put this in chat, because they're coming out with a 5e for because they brought on for 4th edition Bessem, the Bessem creator, as I'm leaning back, and it actually puts me in frame for once.
Oh, yeah, for once, yeah.
Yeah, I know. They're putting out an anime 5e, which is 5th edition D&D for the Bessem 4th edition stuff.
Funded in 40 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. So races, classes, skills, features, powers, game mechanics, because that's what they did a lot in the 3rd edition. They basically had a bunch of basic classes using the rules of 3rd edition. And what they would do is then, kind of like how Bessem has, you have a number of points to spend on powers, depending on your power level. They provided them depending on what kind of game you were playing. So they're like, also, you have these points.
I like anime, so I would be fine with this.
It would be interesting, because I'm unsure, like, I think, because this is a little more, like, controlled, I think definitely there's some, like, animes or settings that would work a lot better using the 5e with this kind of modded system. I think, definitely. Because they're introducing, like, new races and classes and stuff, and you can still use standard ones along with that, along with, like, powers and stuff like that, that probably would work out well. While there's probably certainly, like, things like, I would say things like more like, mecha anime or monster trainers that you can't really do as well in this system.
No, but if you were just playing regular adventuring party, it would work fine.
Like a fantasy anime, this might allow you to do a fantasy anime. That could be
isekai.
Like, yeah, you can do an isekai. So you have your basics of like, okay, granted, I could play an isekai in D&D, but there's a lot of that craziness of the isekai that's added in from being an anime. You're not going to have that now. No. Playing anime 5e would give that to you.
Yeah.
I probably will just like the adventure from last week, I will probably fund this one before it goes out. In fact, I might fund both of them today. Gonna be honest about that one. This one is another one of those ones that I got the D20 Bessem book back in the day, so it's definitely in my wheelhouse of wanting.
Yeah. Do they say somewhere on here what the estimated like time would be?
I am currently not in Chrome, so I'm in Firefox, so I don't get the full page. But
Okay,
I can probably
I'm
Chrome.
scrolling through. To be honest, I was mostly looking at the art because I'm a big art person. I can't draw art, but I love it. Oh, April 2021 is for the $1 pledge. September 2021 for retail, which I believe would be the book.
Yeah, I think this book.
Brick and mortar.
They're estimating September then for the book. It looks like.
Yeah.
The rules are
okay. The $1 one, the reason why it's April is because we're in April, the month of April. So when you give them $1, they'll have it this month.
Yeah. The just PDF of the core rules is supposed to be coming out next month. Yeah. So I'm guessing that the PDF is pretty much the book is pretty much done, and this is probably for
printing.
Printing. Yeah.
Yeah, printing and distribution because that's expensive.
Yeah.
$13 for the PDF. That's really good. If you like anime and you like D&D, you're probably not going to find much better prices than that, honestly. As someone who's more recently been seeing the price of books and covers and PDFs and stuff, that is very cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And especially considering that they probably have to reflavor a lot of stuff to make it more anime. Because like you could make D&D more anime just by describing things over the top, right?
And like the $13 one, it's not going to be the full book. It's their pocket edition rules, so it's probably like the mini book.
Okay.
so
That
it's
should
like,
have most of the rules though, right?
Yeah, that's probably the basic rules and not a lot of the GMing stuff. I'm saying. Welcome back.
Okay.
Which I like that they have pocket guides now too. Like that's an interesting thing that you can get like a cheaper version of the book with the basic rules. We were talking about the Bessem people are putting out Anime 5e, which is in a good vein because back in the day they did a D20 Bessem too.
Momo was buzzy.
Anime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like anime. Sorry.
I enjoy a good anime or a trash anime occasionally.
I have to be honest. I will watch an anime of any genre if it's pretty decent, or if it's trashy enough in such a way that it gets my attention.
Well, let me just go to my many tabs open. Oh no, it got closed because I rebooted my computer. Otherwise, I'd tell you that I was watching like the freaking Apprentice's wife minion anime episode thing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting and weird. It's anime.
Mm-hmm. Look, like I can list off that there's probably some sports anime, some idol anime, some like this type of anime, mecha, horror, etc. There's plenty of all of them that I've watched that I can probably name that are pretty decent. A Firefly type of anime would be a Firefly anime type of anime.
I mean, you probably just use regular Bessem for that.
Yeah, I'd say regular Bessem would be better for that one rather than the D20. The D20, as we said, like a fantasy / isekai, great for this one.
Yeah.
Because it's basically playing D&D and adding on some crazy powers.
Because like Firefly has like spaceships and fighters and stuff, and you can design all that with regular Bessem.
A lot better.
I mean, it'd still be cool though.
I would want to see.
I've wanted to play Bessem.
Yeah.
So, no, you use what we tell you. We are the podcast hosts.
Do you exist? Has it come back to life?
It seems to be stable, but I'm not going to open up like a stream just in case.
That's probably a good idea.
I will just leave it to Discord right now.
Momo, talk about Grim Hollow and.
Hi, I can talk about Grim Hollow. There's a player's guide out now. It's the alpha version. It's not the prettiest, but it's got cool things in it like subclasses, a whole bunch of weird races, and new transformations. One of the transformations is Fae, and I love it, and also it fucks your character over real bad.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do some of the things that it does to a player because
No,
that just makes it
I would.
unfun.
Faye would stick to an NPC transformation.
Yeah, unless you change how some of the rules
Unless
work.
I fix things, because I will probably go and change some of the flaws. But there's a really cool transformation called Spectre where you're like a half ghost. And that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's also a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde barbarian subclass.
Oh, nice.
And a ranger that controls swarms of rats.
Is that like the beekeeper, swarmkeeper? But...
No, it's like specifically rats, and you're like the Pied Piper.
Oh, but I mean, can't you do swarm of rat with swarmkeeper?
Kind of, I guess. I don't know, or I suppose you could. So it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, that's why it's kind of like that's neat. But wait, couldn't you just do like swarm of rats and just reflavor things?
I'm gonna open the player's guide though.
Oh no, here it goes. Goodbye.
I can read out things, and this is where my internet will die.
And which half of you is a ghost? Because if it's legs, that'll make walking around hard.
Yeah. The new races include the new races are pretty kind of. A lot of them are weird. Some of them are like there's undead fish people. There's some
Fish
people. There's some fish. There's some like people who've been asleep for 100 years. There's some kind of like astral plane race where you have a body but you don't. But then there's one race which is a puppet child, like a child-shaped puppet, and it's real disturbing.
That sounds
I kind
awful.
of hate it.
So we're gonna kill all of them in our game, right?
Yeah. There's also new spells, some grim dark themed spells. One of which I like is I think it's I forget the name, but you like your hand pops off your arm and becomes a spider.
Oh, so you're just Manacle from...
Yeah. You just got a spider hand.
Oh. So, I just realized how long our episode has been. Do we want to really, really quickly go through our week in tabletop? And
we might want to quickly go through our week in tabletop.
Because this has been a very long episode because we have 3 hosts and technical difficulties.
Yeah, technical difficulties will do that.
Comcast is a thing.
I'll hit up my quick week in tabletop. Had Records of Evil with Momo. Where we got everybody back to Kalimport, and you got technically 2 leads as to where to go to find the lady, but one of them is the actual lead, the other one was obviously a red herring. But you're going to go on the red herring because we didn't have a Jess.
Extend the game.
And we need to have a Jess back, and so you're going to an Elven Mafia wedding next week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's finally happening, the Elven Mafia wedding. There you go.
Also, Bob's a general of hell now.
And Bob, the Leatherface-based serial killer, is General of Hell now, and his voice ruins me.
I also hate Discord apparently, because you just every time you do that voice, you just get cut out.
They cut out on Discord a lot apparently. So yeah, but Bob was fun. Then I didn't have Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I did have Legacies of Kain. Do we have Legacies of Kain? No, I didn't have Legacies of the Kain this week because we were also down a bunch because I think, yes, we were down Jess and Umber wasn't feeling great and Dunce had an interview for like a job or something. So we were like, oh, go do that.
Did have Carrying Crown, I think.
We had a short Carrying Crown session, yeah.
Yes.
It was about like an hour and a half.
I think I also had Star Trek. Did I have Star Trek?
Yes, you had Star Trek.
I had Star Trek. And then I saved a man's life again because, expert doctor.
The greatest doctor ever. The greatest lizard doctor that the world has ever seen.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, this is how it is. So yeah. And we kind of, I guess, began setting up what the overall plot is with mini wormholes and stuff. Is going to be a plot.
Oh yeah, you have you learn what the probe does, and then how there's a bunch of other things all over the galaxy or whatever that you have to go and find, and probably diplomacy.
Yeah, there'll be some stuff like that.
You can't just fly in there and blow the planet up and be like, haha, it's ours now.
Well, it's because of Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty anti-Federation if you're playing Klingons, however.
Mhm.
And you'd be all about blowing things up and stealing them.
Yeah.
I don't honestly remember what happened in our Carrion Crown game. To be honest,
Like, not really much happened. A drunk got possessed by a werewolf ghost, and Zoram announced he's leaving for a bit, and that's about it.
oh yeah, because I had my cat go out there and be stealthy, and it rolled like a bajillion on its
Yeah.
stealth roll, and so it's like, yeah, it's invisible.
You rolled like
Forever.
a 40.
Yeah, it's like a 38 or a 39. It's like, yep.
And I think we specifically cut it short because Jess should be back next week.
And
Yeah.
we're moving on to like the next part. It was like,
Yeah, we're moving on to like a pretty serious jump.
yeah,
We're kind of fast tracking the area because it's kind of derping. We actually started talking about game natures and like how things like get slow or how to like pacing. I think we had a discussion about pacing when we were playing,
Yeah.
and that was like an hour. So we're just like, oh, let's just stop here because we've been really off track.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had Children of Wrath, right? That's Thursday.
We did have Children of Wrath, where it was the resolution of what was after
Intervention.
the wedding. It was a bit of an intervention, which didn't work, which I was kind of a little annoyed at. I have to say, as a DM, it's sort of like part of me understands it for the character wise. Part of me is also like, we gotta have some give here at some point in time. So maybe I have to
I hope you're just cutting out on Discord.
So I think I was cutting on Discord.
Are you okay? I was actually getting concerned. Oh fuck! Is my internet dying again?
No, it was just like I just hope that was Discord because I was watching and people were like, "Oh, you cut out on Discord," but I was watching on stream and it's like, you didn't cut out on stream.
Yeah, I was getting real concerned.
Viewers, tell us what happened.
Oh, no,
Type up what Tantus said. This is what we know.
Not again.
No.
Something about being annoyed as a DM.
Well, I mean, it's just like, it's the understanding of where Mads' character is coming from to a degree, but also Mads' character really needs a Wintress and doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Because the Wintress, as much as Wintress was insane, was at least, seemingly helped balance out the insanity that was Carrie, which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah, no impulse control. I mean, I am not a person to take advice from as characters. Like, you play what you want to play, right? But
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh?
Uh-oh?
Why uh-oh?
Discord lagged severely.
Oh, okay. Well, what I was saying is that it's never good to shame a person who's playing a character, especially if they're playing it how they want to play the character. You have to, because you're playing at a table with other people, you have to take them into consideration when you're playing your character. Play your character as close as you can to how you envision your character, but they still have to be part of the group. And sometimes you can go too far in one direction.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem is there was a series of very bad things that happened, and it was very hard to,
Which is the character that magically roofied a bunch of people, basically, with like a love potion? Which was that character?
That was Maxwell.
That's Maxwell.
And the thing is, it was just, it wasn't like an actual roofie, it was just...
It was a love potion.
It was an aphrodisiac, is what I made it out to be.
Like,
everyone was feeling real good and was a little tipsy.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing is, like, he didn't hit everybody up directly with everything, It's like he had someone mix that in a little bit of a really strong alcohol and make a cocktail for everybody, like a punch. So it was something that probably was strong, made everybody a little inebriated, a little bit horny, to be honest. So there was a lot of craziness happening afterwards, but it didn't get rid of everybody's impulse control, really. Carrie just wanted to screw an evil witch she was learning dark magic from.
I mean, like, who doesn't, though, in real life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't if it was an actually objectively evil witch.
No, I mean, there's a difference between Joe.
I mean, if it's just like
evil monster.
Yeah, if it's just someone that's just not nice and is, to certain people, well, that's fine. But someone who is actually objectively evil and will destroy everything, I usually play pretty good characters.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mess with that.
You're not quite hitting up that destroy everything level of evil. I think the level of evil I would call that witch is like Hansel and Gretel, evil witch. You know, that kind of thing. You know,
I mean, that's
Still
still
pretty
pretty
evil.
pretty bad.
Pretty bad. But the thing is, they don't know that for sure about her either. Is the problem? I can say that out of game. That is actually what she is. But like, they've only got like, she sounds really evil. She sounds kind of awful. I don't trust her completely because of some insight rolls. But, you know, she is being tortured and et cetera, et cetera. It's sort of like, they're doing that, like, she has a kind of excuse. Uh-oh. I froze up. Can you people hear me on stream still? Oh, that was a little jump.
This
It's
is
a day of tech issues.
okay.
Hello?
That was a weird thing.
Hi.
I had a little hiccup
Yeah.
there for a second.
Yes.
That was hiccup on my end. But I was saying, like,
I don't know what you were saying. Okay, so we'll get the unfunny one here. Child murder and cannibalism not that evil. We'll go from there.
Okay.
But I was saying that, like, you know, Witch, not great. Hasn't really done anything bad. A lot of terrible things has happened to her. They're using that kind of, like, it's what we were talking about earlier, that if you had known about that guy in Carrion Crown and had his backstory, you might have treated him differently. The witch has a really horrible backstory. And so so Carrie's treating the witch differently, even though the witch really isn't a good person, probably wasn't a good person to begin with, and got worse because of what happened to her.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, I understand, but if you were always evil, and you just got evil-er over time, you're kind of an unredeemable
Yeah.
creature or person at that point. So it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, I'm less evil now. Yeah, because you're chained up in a place and you can't leave. If you were given freedom, you'd go out and be evil. You're not gonna suddenly become good because you're free.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, since my game was Saturday, Momo, did you have games like Thursday?
Monday was obviously the records. Thursday was a really short Stars game where we joined I actually joined the Civil War, and then we stopped because Jess was not there. And then Friday was my game. That was the thing that happened.
Yes.
There was a lot.
There was a lot.
There was a lot. The party decided to take it upon themselves to not tell the son of this person that, hey, your mother may have been murdered, instead of dying in an animal attack.
We were protecting the small human child.
This
Who's
human
not
child
a
who is 30 years old and a wizard.
Well, you know what? I am so much older than that human child. They are still a child.
And then I had a centipede fight, and then they're all put to sleep, and they all ran away.
I could have killed both of them on my own.
Yep.
Because
They're
I
not
could
that
have
hard.
I could have dual wielded daggers. I mean, technically I couldn't because you can only pull out one at a time. But like, if I had both my daggers ready, I could have ended the entire fight by saying, I stabbed this one, I stabbed the other one with sneak attack, and it would have been over.
Enemies were not that hard. You only had issues because one max roll damage.
Yeah, that was. I mean, they got a nat 20 on their initiative, and they were sharing initiative, which
is, I'm going to break up initiative from now on.
Oh, yes, it is. That is a very dangerous thing to have.
Yep. But
everyone lied.
Everyone lied. They broke
the rolls
into
were
broke into a crypt, and then they had an intervention of why it's not okay to melt a lock on someone's chest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they stole a book which was like gave detailed background of like why people were dead.
Yeah.
I was not spotted leaving the crypt.
No,
you're
innocent. You've done you've done nothing wrong.
I've done nothing wrong except for read tarot cards.
Yeah, that's all you've done. Also, the bard upset a shopkeeper.
Because it's like, I'm gonna play a song outside his place of business and also school. Maybe Tantus remembers early games where people were snooping about and making a lot of noise outside of an angry wizard.
Yeah, I remember
school
when
shop.
Anne interrupted
God.
that happened again.
Oh God.
I left because it's like, oh, he's doing a school. It's probably not going to be over for a while. So I'm like, okay. I'm gonna leave. So I leave, and I don't know. I'll go here and I'll read tarot cards to people if they want it.
I had to try so hard to get half this party to stop suggesting to just immediately go to the place where they would die.
Yes. Yes, because
Oh my god.
I'm playing a weird cowboy technically, and I was gonna make a joke while you're eating that I didn't take off the duster or hat, but we kind of went through some of the stuff so fast. Okay, so this is not criticism, right?
Go for
But
it.
it's just it's an observation.
Yeah.
Is everything was very, very fast and felt a little rushed.
Okay. Yeah. I will try to do better. I was very sort of anxious.
Oh, I mean, it's a session
But
one.
yeah, I'm gonna try to be a little better about that.
Yeah, I think because we have a couple people, players, right,
Yeah.
that are, I guess, the big personality, as I air quotes. They're kind of the big personality people, so they tend to talk a lot, and
Yeah.
they were kind of pushing their narrative and their story and suggestion, which is weird because I was just reading about this on Reddit about a player who was super unhappy with that.
Yeah. I'm gonna before like moving on anything, I'm gonna ask, what are you doing at this time and things like that.
Yeah, I
In
mean,
the future.
it's just something to kind of keep in mind as
Yeah.
as a DM, is you are kind of the arbiter of everything.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's something like I do, like Plex in our game. Sometimes Plex is very quiet, and sometimes we'll just kind of talk when he feels like he needs to be talking. And so I will consciously keep remembering that if someone hasn't talked for a long time, I'll be like, "Hey, player," or "Hey, character, what do you want to do?" or "What are you doing in this time?" And sometimes you kind of have to do that.
I will be 100% honest. I'm completely open to all forms of advice because it's been such a long time since I've DM'd.
I'll come back.
Yeah, eventually I'll get it, but this is session 1 and I lost internet halfway through, so I had to stress about that.
Yes. I mean, I'll just say it again because this is, especially anyone who's going to be running games. Session 0s and session 1s, depending on how you do your session 0, because there's different ways, they will always be stressful, and they will always be chaos, and they are always going to be weird because it's the first time you can get everybody together to play the game, and sometimes people need to flesh out their characters, and I am no exception to this rule.
But yeah, I learned a decent amount from what I did wrong in that session, so I will hopefully do better next.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's fun. I want to do a little bit more, but I understand. I mean, we're gonna have up to 6 players, I think.
It's a big party.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people to manage. I think 5
Yeah.
is like my limit, is for a DM.
Yep.
And then last week, on this day, that is Saturday, we had my game, where you guys rolled a lot, and you found a bunch of cursed necklaces.
We did.
That was pretty much the session, because there was a lot of planning and discussion.
Yeah, and Marty was the last person to learn what my character is.
Mm-hmm.
Totally normal elf.
Yeah.
Totally normal elf.
Unfortunately, that's all I can really say about my game, because that's just kind of what it was.
We're gonna fight some kind of horrible ocean-based monster, and we're probably gonna be idiots about it. That's what we set up.
Yeah, we're all gonna get in a boat and die.
I mean,
I feel like we're probably not going to get in the boat because again,
I
feel like most of us are wise enough to like.
Roland's gonna see the boat and be like, no.
I mean, it's like a 10 by 15 rowboat.
Yeah.
10 foot by 15 foot rowboat.
Roland's
You could all
gonna
fit in it.
Be like, no. If someone wants to go out in it, they can.
Yeah, you did get you had some cool ideas. Okay, that's the one thing. You had some really, really cool ideas. And I was being cautious, and the players are being cautious. So I think that kind of tilted the way the game played.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, I was foreboding about the creature because it's pretty strong. I don't want to murder the whole party, but I think I was a little bit too easy with it because you guys went into full like investigation hardcore mode.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, it was just kind of like stopped somewhere that was pretty far away. No one could see it. It's water. You don't have very good visibility in water. So the the sorcerer with wings who can fly had a brilliant idea of casting light on like an arrow or projectile weapon, and you would shoot it out to where the creature was, which would remove the disadvantage I was going to give you on seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a normal roll, and eventually after 3 attempts you got it close enough where the guy who can breathe underwater jumped back into the water and got a normal perception roll to see it, and they rolled an 8, which is very unfortunate because it was so many good ideas. You also had the idea of getting the net because you had an idea of how big it was, and so you went and bought this huge net. And so it's like, cool, you can do that for something, and I'll have to have it like, it'll do something, right, if you end up using it. So you had all these cool ideas, but it was very, like, planny and a little chaosy because everyone was kind of going around trying to, like, get all this stuff.
Also, chat, keep in mind, at the start of that plan, the sorcerer with wings that can fly,
Yes.
who could have just flown out and tried to look at it.
Yes, and they could have casted light on a rock and dropped it right on top of them. Yeah.
Instead, you rely on the rogue that has disadvantage to do stuff, and I'm like,
because it was very far.
I'm like, this is really far, and this is beyond my like normal where I shoot arrows.
Rely on Marty.
The barbarian recklessly threw a javelin to get normal on it at maximum range of throwing a javelin.
God.
Yeah, I mean, they were cool ideas, but unfortunately, not all of them worked.
To be honest, I think Umber forgot he could fly again.
Probably.
Yes, definitely. Like, the weirdest thing, though, is the best idea you guys had was to chum the water. You know, put a bunch of dead things in the water, blood and stuff. And you're like, oh, but that could damage the pier.
No.
Well, you know, there's
one person was that.
Yes, one person said that. But there's also this other thing called the beach.
No, the water is only centered around this wooden dock. I don't know if you thought. There's no water anywhere else.
So you could have avoided so much planning and nonsense by going to the dockmaster and being like, hey, do you have like some chum for us? He'd be like, yeah, sure, here you go. You walk over, you have the one who can breathe underwater, wade like 20 feet out into the water, dump all the chum, get back onto the beach, and wait. And that would have worked.
Like, I gotta be honest, I
kind
of have a plan, but like, you know, it's a combination of like the plan I had before combined with a lot of like, you know, the common sense of waiting a week, and we'll see how well it goes when I actually enact said, or try to see if we can enact said plan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be a whole lot smoother. I have some other things that are going to happen because you've taken so long to do this. Some stuff in the background is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So that will come up. You guys also have you have contacts with some pretty influential and potentially powerful people who could also technically help with this.
Yes.
But it's still kind of a new game. This is like what the fourth or fifth game?
Fifth, I think.
Yeah, I haven't been labeling them.
I gotta be honest, the powerful people to help out, Marty doesn't know about any of them.
Yeah.
Marty's like, well, we got our team, and then we got that dwarf, which was really a fool who's out on something, and then we got the elf lady, but she's expensive to get help, and I don't think we're getting paid.
I mean, the only real contacts Roland has are shopkeeps and then Mirai, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, I mean, Mirai could probably help as well, too.
Yep.
I mean, all of you have Mirai as an asset.
Yeah, but I don't know if she's really super powerful. I just know she's got unusual abilities.
He just has to turn into a fox.
Yeah.
She could turn into a fox and be adorable.
Yeah.
Moral
and use gaze. What was the stupid April Fool's creature? She'll compel the monster to fight for her because
she's got the floof. The floof.
Yeah. She has that ability. You guys just don't realize it.
I must protect you to the death.
Mm-hmm. It was a game. It wasn't terrible, but the DM decisions of how creature acted and players' decision on how to deal with this creature ended up making it just mostly a roll-heavy game, like rolling the dice, not like roll as in like playing a role.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that happens sometimes, right?
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to end it. We definitely went a little later, but we had like the technical issues.
A lot over.
Tech issues will do that.
So, Thank you, as usual, Lightning and Momo, for being guest hosts for me today. We'll see if you'll be back next week. I'll at least be hopefully back next week, where we'll talk more about some interesting tabletop topics, some news and interesting topics that might help you at your table. And yeah, I think we'll leave it here. And I don't know if either of you want to give a shout out to anything you're doing.
Go watch on Funny One.
Yes,
Yeah.
that.
Especially on Tuesdays at around
Especially
8:15/8:30 for some Star Trek.
Absolutely do that.
Yeah, it's fun. For myself, Mondays 2 p.m. Records of Evil, Tuesdays 2 p.m. Legacies of Kain, Thursdays at 8:30, because I gotta remember it's 8:30 now because we're delayed a little bit for Children of Wrath. And I'll probably be streaming some stuff over the next over the days. Stardew Valley. I got a couple other things on the agenda that I want to do. Like I probably am going to try to finish up Vampire Bloodlines and finally get back to show. Since I did it, show off getting to level 99 in Parasite Eve, because I did all the farming to get up to the point where I'm about to get to level 99. I did that goddamn farming, so probably want to show that off. Anyway, because now it's easy. I got to the point where it's the easy point, where it's like the level changes from this insane amount of experience to, oh, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to head off for now. We're all going to do that. Everybody have a great rest of your Saturday, great rest of your evening, and if you don't see us any more during the week, great rest of your weekend. So for now, farewell.
Bye.
See